The United States deployed the most technologically advanced ground force ever assembled for Operation Desert Storm. Over 2,000 M1 Abrams tanks, thousands of Bradley fighting vehicles, and the most sophisticated artillery and support systems available in 1991 rolled across the Iraqi desert in 100 hours of ground combat. This video examines every major ground vehicle the US military used to achieve one of the most decisive victories in modern warfare. We start our list with American main battle tanks. M1A1 Abrams. The M1A1 Abrams was the most advanced tank in the world in 1991 and proved it during Desert Storm. The 120mm smoothbore cannon could penetrate any Iraqi tank from over 2 kilometers away. The gas turbine engine gave it incredible acceleration and a top speed of 42 miles per hour across desert terrain. Chobham composite armor on the turret and hull front could stop any weapon Iraq possessed. The thermal imaging system let American tankers see and kill Iraqi tanks at night from ranges where return fire was impossible. Over 1,800 M1A1s deployed to Desert Storm, and the results were devastating. Iraqi T-72s and T-62s were destroyed before they could effectively engage. American tank crews reported kills at ranges exceeding 3,000 meters in some cases. The Abrams suffered 0 losses to enemy tank fire during the entire war. A few were disabled by mines or friendly fire, but the armor protected the crews. The M1A1 was designed to fight Soviet tank armies in Europe, and Iraq's Soviet-equipped forces learned why NATO tankers feared nothing. It was not just a good tank, it was a generational leap ahead of everything it faced. M60A3 patent. The US Marine Corps brought M60A3 tanks to Desert Storm because the Abrams was too heavy for amphibious operations, and the Marines needed a tank that could deploy from ships. The M60 featured a 105mm rifled gun and conventional steel armor. It was a 1960s design, updated with laser rangefinders and thermal sights, but fundamentally an older platform. Against Iraqi T-55s and T-62s, the M60A3 was adequate. The gun could penetrate Iraqi armor at combat ranges, and the armor could stop most return fire. Marine tankers used them effectively during the advance into Kuwait. The M60 was outclassed by the M1A1, but it got the job done. Marines worked with what they had and made it effective through superior tactics and training. The tank itself was obsolete compared to the Abrams, but in the hands of trained crews against Iraqi forces, it performed well enough. Moving on to American infantry fighting vehicles. M2 Bradley. The M2 Bradley infantry fighting vehicle revolutionized mechanized warfare for the US Army. The 25mm Bushmaster autocannon could destroy light armor, and the TOW missile system could kill main battle tanks at ranges up to 3,700 meters. The Bradley carried 6 infantry soldiers, plus a 3-man crew into combat while providing heavy firepower. The aluminum armor with applique steel plates protected against autocannon fire and RPGs. Thermal sights let Bradley crews engage targets at night and in dust storms. During Desert Storm, Bradleys destroyed more Iraqi armored vehicles than Abrams tanks did in many engagements. The combination of mobility, firepower, and protection made it devastatingly effective. Iraqi BMP fighting vehicles were outranged and outgunned. American infantry could dismount from Bradleys and assault positions while the vehicle provided overwatch with the cannon and missiles. The Bradley proved that infantry fighting vehicles could be frontline combat systems, not just battle taxis. M3 Bradley Cavalry Fighting Vehicle. The M3 Bradley CFV was the reconnaissance variant with the same chassis and weapons as the M2, but configured for scouting missions. Instead of carrying 6 infantry, the M3 carried 2 scouts and extra ammunition for extended operations. Cavalry units used M3s to screen advancing forces and hunt for Iraqi positions. The thermal sights and long-range TOW missiles made them lethal reconnaissance platforms. They could find enemy forces and destroy them without waiting for tanks. During Desert Storm, M3 Bradley crews used their speed and sensors to locate Iraqi defensive positions, then called in artillery or engaged with TOW missiles. The vehicle itself was mechanically identical to the M2, but the mission was different. Cavalry scouts needed information and the ability to fight for it, and the M3 gave them both. Continuing with armored personnel carriers. M113. The M113 has been the US military's workhorse armored personnel carrier since Vietnam, and thousands deployed to Desert Storm. The aluminum armor protected against small arms and shell fragments. The tracked chassis could carry 11 troops plus a driver and commander across desert terrain. The M113 was cheap, reliable, and everywhere. It was also dangerously thin-skinned against anything heavier than rifle fire. Iraqi RPGs and autocannons could penetrate the armor easily. American forces used M113s for transport and support roles where the threat level was lower. The vehicle worked fine for moving troops and supplies, but nobody wanted to ride in one through heavy combat. Bradleys and tanks led assaults, while M113s followed with support troops and supplies. The M113 did what it always did: which was move soldiers around the battlefield cheaply and efficiently. It was not a combat vehicle. It was a battle taxi that worked. AAV-7. The U.S. Marine Corps used AAV-7 amphibious assault vehicles for ship-to-shore operations and inland combat. The tracked amphibious vehicle could carry 25 Marines, plus a crew of 3 from ship to beach, and then continue inland. The armor was thin, but adequate against small arms fire. A 50 caliber machine gun and 40mm grenade launcher provided limited firepower. The AAV-7 was designed for amphibious assault, which Desert Storm did not require, but Marines used them anyway for ground transport. The vehicle could swim through water at 7 miles per hour using its tracks, and then drive on land at 45 miles per hour. During Desert Storm, they transported Marines across the desert and through breaches in Iraqi defenses. The AAV-7 was not a fighting vehicle. It was an amphibious transport that Marines used, because that was what they had. It worked adequately for the mission, even though the amphibious capability went unused. Moving on to light vehicles and reconnaissance. MMW V Humvee. The high-mobility, multi-purpose, wheeled vehicle replaced the Jeep and became the face of American ground forces during Desert Storm. Thousands of Humvees in dozens of variants deployed for every role imaginable. Basic cargo and troop transport models moved personnel and supplies. Up-armored variants with add-on protection carried troops in higher threat areas. Weapons carriers mounted TIAL missiles, Mark 19 grenade launchers, and 50 caliber machine guns. Ambulance variants evacuated wounded. The Humvee was fast, reliable, and versatile. The four-wheel drive and high ground clearance handled desert terrain well. The open design meant no protection against anything beyond bullets, but speed and mobility were the defense. Special forces used armed Humvees for raids deep behind Iraqi lines. Artillery units used them to move crews and ammunition. Every unit needed Humvees for something. They were not glamorous, but modern armies run on logistics, and the Humvee made that possible. M998, cargo troop carrier. The basic Humvee variant without armor or weapons. For troops or cargo. Everywhere. M1025 armored Humvee. Add-on armor doors and hardtop. Still vulnerable, but better than nothing. M1043 armament carrier. Heavy weapons mount for TIAL missiles or Mark 19 grenade launchers. Continuing with artillery systems. M1, 09, A2 and A3, Paladin. The M109 self-propelled howitzer was the backbone of American artillery during Desert Storm. The 155mm gun could fire to ranges exceeding 18 kilometers with rocket-assisted projectiles. The tracked chassis let artillery batteries shoot and move quickly to avoid counter-battery fire. Iraqi artillery was stuck in fixed positions and systematically destroyed. American M109s could displace after firing and survive. The Paladin variant added improved fire control systems and navigation. Artillery crews could receive targeting data digitally and fire accurately without lengthy manual calculations. During the 100 hours of ground combat, American artillery fired thousands of shells supporting advancing armor and infantry. The M109 made indirect fire support mobile and survivable. Iraqi artillery could not match the combination of range, accuracy, and mobility. M110A2. The M110 was a massive 203mm self-propelled howitzer that fired a shell weighing 200 pounds. The gun could hit targets at 22 kilometers with devastating effect. Only a few battalions deployed to Desert Storm because the M109 was more versatile, but when the Army needed to destroy hardened bunkers or deeply dug-in positions, the M110 delivered incredible firepower. The vehicle was slow and the rate of fire was low, but each shell had enormous destructive power. Iraqi fortifications that could withstand 155mm fire could not survive direct hits from 203mm shells. The M110 was a specialist weapon for special missions, and it worked. MLRS, Multiple Launch Rocket System. The MLRS was the most feared American weapon system Iraqi forces faced. The truck-mounted launcher could fire 12 227mm rockets in under a minute, each carrying hundreds of submunitions that scattered over a wide area. One MLRS launcher could cover an area the size of several football fields with explosives. Iraqi forces called it the Steel Rain. The rockets had a range of 32 kilometers, and the launcher could reload and fire again quickly. MLRS batteries were used to destroy Iraqi artillery positions, supply depots, and troop concentrations. The psychological effect was enormous. Iraqi soldiers who survived MLRS strikes described it as the most terrifying experience of the war. The system combined the saturation firepower of rocket artillery with the mobility of a truck. Launch, displace, reload, repeat. Iraqi counter-battery fire could never catch MLRS launchers before they moved. M198. The M198 was a towed 155mm howitzer that required a truck to move and a crew to set up. It was less mobile than the M109, but cheaper and mechanically simpler. Marine. Artillery units used M198s because they could be transported by helicopter or landing craft more easily than self-propelled guns. The gun worked exactly like every other towed artillery piece. Crews set it up, calculated firing solutions, and sent shells downrange. The lack of mobility meant batteries had to rely on camouflage and displacement to avoid counter-battery fire, but against Iraqi artillery, that was rarely a problem. American counter-battery radar detected Iraqi guns the moment they fired, and MLRS strikes destroyed them before they could displace. Towed artillery was old-fashioned, but it still worked when you had air superiority and superior technology. Moving on to air defense systems. M1A1 Patriot. The Patriot missile system was designed to shoot down aircraft, but during Desert Storm it was used to intercept Iraqi Scud ballistic missiles. The truck-mounted launcher carried 4 missiles and worked with a sophisticated radar system to track and engage targets at long range. Patriot batteries protected Saudi Arabia and Israel from Iraqi Scud attacks with varying success. Some intercepts were confirmed kills, while others were disputed, but the system provided a defense that did not exist before. The Patriot represented cutting-edge air defense technology in 1991. It was expensive and complex, but when you need to stop ballistic missiles, there are no cheap options. The effectiveness debate continues, but the presence of Patriot batteries gave confidence to troops and civilians in the target areas. M163 Vulcan. The M163 mounted a 20mm Vulcan rotary cannon on an M113 chassis for mobile air defense. The radar-guided system could engage low-flying aircraft and helicopters at close range. In Desert Storm, coalition air superiority meant Iraqi aircraft rarely appeared, so Vulcans were used for ground support. The 6-barrel rotary cannon fired 3,000 rounds per minute and could shred light vehicles and infantry positions. What was designed as air defense became an effective direct-fire support weapon. The 20mm cannon was devastating against unarmored targets. Vulcan crews engaged Iraqi positions when the opportunity presented itself, even though that was not the original mission. Adaptability won wars, and the Vulcan adapted. M167 VADS, the towed version of the Vulcan system. Same 20mm rotary cannon, same radar, just on a trailer instead of a track. Less mobile, but cheaper and easier to transport by helicopter. Used by airborne and air assault units for air defense at forward positions. Avenger. The Avenger system mounted Stinger, surface-to-air missiles on a Humvee chassis for mobile short-range air defense. The lightweight missiles could engage helicopters and low-flying jets at ranges up to 5 kilometers. Avenger vehicles deployed with forward units to provide protection against air attack. Iraqi air forces avoided engaging after the first days of the air campaign, so most Avengers never fired in combat, but their presence added another layer of defense. The system was simple and effective for its role. Mount missiles on a truck, add targeting systems, deploy with maneuver units. If Iraqi helicopters or jets appeared, Stingers would engage. They never got the chance because Iraqi aircraft stayed grounded or fled to Iran. Continuing with support and engineering vehicles. M88, A1 recovery vehicle. The M88 was an armored recovery vehicle built on a modified tank chassis. It carried a crane, winch, and tools to recover disabled tanks and other heavy vehicles under fire. Tank-level armor meant recovery crews could work in combat zones. When an Abrams or Bradley broke down or hit a mine, the M88 could tow it back for repair. Armies that can recover and repair their equipment can sustain operations longer than those that abandon damaged vehicles. The M88 was not glamorous, but it was essential. Maintenance and recovery kept American armor rolling forward, while Iraqi forces abandoned disabled vehicles during their retreat. M9 Ace. The M9 Armored Combat Earthmover was a highly mobile armored bulldozer designed for combat engineering. The vehicle could dig fighting positions, clear obstacles, and create routes under fire while the crew sat in an armored cab. The articulated chassis gave it excellent mobility across rough terrain. Combat engineers used M9s to clear Iraqi minefields, fill anti-tank ditches, and prepare positions for artillery and command posts. Engineering work wins battles by making sure maneuver forces can advance. The M9 did unglamorous work that made offensives possible. It could move 20 cubic yards of earth in a few minutes, while protected from small arms fire and shell fragments. Not exciting, but absolutely necessary. M728, Combat Engineer Vehicle. The M728 was based on an M60 tank chassis, with the turret replaced by engineering equipment. The vehicle carried a dozer blade for earth moving and a boom for demolitions work. The main feature was a 165mm demolition gun that could fire massive explosive charges to destroy obstacles. Combat engineers used M728s to breach fortifications and clear obstacles that conventional explosives could not handle. The armored chassis meant they could work under fire. When you need to blow a hole in a concrete bunker or destroy a building, the M728 delivered more explosive power than anything else available. It was specialized equipment for specialized missions, and it worked. M60A VLB. The M60 Armored Vehicle Launched Bridge was a tank chassis carrying a folding bridge that could extend over obstacles. When American forces encountered ditches, streams, or craters, the bridge layer could deploy a span in minutes and let tanks and other vehicles cross. Combat engineers operated bridge layers to maintain offensive momentum. You cannot advance if you cannot cross terrain, and the AVLB solved that problem. The vehicle extended a 63-foot bridge that could support 70 tons. Abrams tanks could cross safely. Once deployed, the bridge stayed in place until retrieved later. Not glamorous, just essential for keeping armor moving. HEMTT, Heavy Expanded Mobility, Tactical Truck. The HEMTT was the backbone of American logistics during Desert Storm. The 8-wheeled 10-ton truck hauled fuel, ammunition, water, and supplies across hundreds of miles of desert. The all-wheel drive and high ground clearance handled terrible terrain. HEMTT tankers carried 2,500 gallons of fuel to keep tanks and vehicles running. Cargo variants hauled ammunition to artillery batteries and supplies to forward units. Recovery variants with cranes supported maintenance operations. Modern mechanized warfare burns fuel and ammunition at incredible rates, and the EMTT made resupply possible. Without logistics, armies starve and stop. The EMTT kept American forces supplied during the 100-hour advance across Iraq and Kuwait. M35 Cargo Truck, the older 2.5-ton cargo truck that served since Vietnam. Reliable, simple, everywhere. Hauled cargo and troops where HEMTs were not needed. M939 5-ton truck, larger cargo truck for heavier loads. 6-wheeled all-wheel drive for off-road mobility. Supplied units with equipment and ammunition.